In Psalm 63:3, David said, "Your love is better than life." It's during the hard times of living, when sickness, death, job loss, ruined relationships strike, that we really rediscover that love really is life. For Dylan, your love and the love of others around you was life for him. It brought him smiles and laughter and joy more than many healthy babies experience. And watching you give life to Dylan by your tender, loving care was inspiring and life-giving to me and to many others. Here's some things people wrote on the website. Your family has made such an impression on me. I don't know if you realize how many people you have touched. I have been truly inspired to a closer walk with the Lord after having heard your story of amazing faith. Your continued faith is absolutely inspiring. Your faith has been an encouragement to me. Someone else wrote, my prayer life has been strengthened. But while you were caring for Dylan, there was something else going on, something very, very significant. Jesus shared a story with his disciples one day, that the day would come after his return and he would gather all the nations and he would separate the righteous from the unrighteous. And then he would say, come you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you. For I was hungry and you fed me. I was thirsty and you gave me a drink. I was a stranger and you invited me into your home. I was naked and you gave me clothing. I was sick and you cared for me. I was in prison and you visited me. Then these righteous ones will reply, Lord, when did we ever see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink, or a stranger and show you hospitality, or naked and give you clothing? When did we ever see you sick or in prison and visit you? And Jesus said, I tell you the truth. When you did it to one of the least of these brothers and sisters, you were doing it to me. For more than 4 years, you've clothed and fed a child imprisoned in a sick body he couldn't escape. And during that time, you took in a stranger, Sophie, and you provided more than hospitality for her. You provided a home. And listen again to exactly what Jesus said. He said, when you did it to one of the least of these, you were doing it to me. Imagine that. When you were feeding Dylan, you were feeding Jesus. When you were putting clothes on Dylan because he couldn't do it himself, you were clothing Jesus. When you gave a home to Sophie, it was the same as giving a home to Jesus. The whole time, all those years, you were loving and caring for Jesus. At the same time, you were loving and caring for Dylan. I didn't say that. Jesus said that. When you see Dylan, he's going to thank you for how well loved and cared for he was. And Jesus is also going to say, Phil, Amy, thank you for taking care of me when I was hungry, thirsty, naked, sick, and needed a home. But this wasn't just Phil and Amy alone. There's a lot of you in this room that were taking care of Dylan also, and in so doing, taking care of Jesus. Phil and Amy have written these words. God used his people his servants to hold up our arms when we lack the strength to do it ourselves. They became the hands and feet of Christ in service to us. We are humbly and forever grateful to each and every person who helped us carry our load. And that's from Phil and Amy to many of you. I also want to commend you for the way you continued to love Jackson and Connor and make life for them as normal as possible in really difficult circumstances. I know it was incredibly hard in terms of time and energy and finances and emotions. It would have been a lot easier to put their lives on hold. But you made the hard choice not to do that. And in so doing, you have been an example for many of us to be better parents and better grandparents. I've told you, Amy, and you too, Phil, how proud of you I have been. And you said we didn't have a choice. You had a choice. And you actually chose the hard road. And many of us are inspired by what you've done. Part of taking care of Dylan was holding him. He loved to be held. If you saw the pictures before the service started, he was being held. If you would go to their home, he was being held. When they would come into church, he was being held. And sometimes there would be a little fight over who got to hold him. In Deuteronomy, it says, "The eternal God is your refuge, for his everlasting arms are under you." For more than 4 years, your arms were under Dylan. Last Tuesday morning, Jesus said, "It's time for me to take over. It's time for Dylan to walk. It's even time for Dylan to dance with the angels." Listen as Michael sings.